With a huge round of applause, let's welcome on stage Mr. Shashwat Goenka, Vice Chairman, RPSG Group. And our guest needs no introduction. As Cabinet Minister, she institutionalized path-breaking policies on gender equity and women's financial inclusion. As founder, Alliance for Global Good, Gender Equity and Equality, she believes that merely getting women into the formal workforce isn't enough. India needs more women who can create jobs. Let's find out more about her vision from the lady herself with a thunderous round of applause. Please welcome former Union Minister and founder, Alliance for Global Good, Gender Equity and Equality, Mrs. Smriti Irani. Welcome, ma'am. And Mr. Goenka, it's over to you.
Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to an extremely special session today. I have the extreme honor and privilege to introduce to you a lady who is a personal inspiration. She is someone whom I have always learned from, be it from the character she espouses on television, to her role as cabinet minister, to the changes she's driving in society at large today. She is a self-made woman, a woman with an earnest dedication, and a woman with stellar leadership skills. She is unassuming, but has been extremely successful in everything that she has done. If I can say so, dynamic, vibrant, and path-breakingly brilliant. She is a person who believes in transformation, in reinvention, and yet remains rooted to the ground. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming former Union Minister, actor, founder and chairperson of the Alliance for Global Good, Smriti Irani.
Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you so much for being here today. It really means a lot, and I'm extremely excited to be doing this session with you. Ma'am, you went from being Tulsi to cabinet minister, to change maker, to reprising Tulsi Irani on national television after 16 years. What does that pivot teach other women here about how non-linear a powerful career is allowed to look?
I don't know why we presume that every lesson that is to be learned by people like me is to be learned only by women. When was the last time that you asked a man such a question? I am, in fact, privileged that as a female, I have the capacity to set that example. I'm yet to find a man who would set such an example, who could traverse between two careers mercifully, successfully for close to 2.5 decades, who could, in some of the most treacherous fields of media and politics, come out besmirched, hopefully stay besmirched for as long as I live. But I think, Shashwat, if you ask me about the reprise, I feel I had to lose an election to find myself. There is much that I have done in life which can be credited as an achievement. But I feel this chapter of my life is about finding strength in other people and getting inspired by it. The fact that if you ask me as a female professional today, some call me a battle axe in politics and in media. But if I had to give back something to my gender, it would be to teach every female professionally how to negotiate a contract and to possibly engage with every female possible to tell her that she's enough as she is. So those are the two things I would do possibly as a female, professionally and personally. Because women drive themselves harder than anybody else on planet Earth. They set their own benchmarks, they set their own standards, they compete with themselves every single day, while the rest of the world competes with them. And they rarely find somebody who just tells them that you're enough.
Absolutely, no, thank you. And ma'am, you've had a very successful stint, obviously, as one of India's most dynamic ministers.
That sounds like a political obituary.
And now as the founder and chairperson for the Alliance for Global Good. So, earlier, there was more focus on getting women into the formal workforce. But now the conversation, and as Ajita mentioned just before, It's moved from being a job seeker to a job creator. And you've done this phenomenal initiative with the Spark 100K. Would you be able to shed some light on it?
Our attempt is to reach out to women who own businesses across 300 cities in the country. The idea to engage with 1 lakh women-owned businesses who are formally recognized as small businesses was the attempt. And in this journey, one obviously engages with women who have not formalized their enterprise thus far. What is not a shock to me, but has been a part of my journey and experience, is that 70% of small businesses which are run by women today, informally, in the SME segment, 90% of them still lack a very formal engagement with financial institutions. This is irrespective of the success of Mudra Yojana, where 30 crore loans were given out to women. And of these 90% women who are not engaged with formal financial institutions, if you meet them, Shashwat, you will be extremely gobsmacked to see that their ambitions are not limited to their local markets. Every female that I have met wants to be a part of the global or national supply chain. They want to engage on skills, but they obviously reflect on the resources that they have. So under Spark, we have many partners. We have, of course, the Tata Trust, Gates Foundation, but we have people who willingly volunteer as professionals their time. The Institute of Chartered Accountants helps women understand bookkeeping. The Institute of Company Secretaries tells them how to formalize their businesses. We have, of course, the National Stock Exchange, where we went with an ambition to the NSE to say there are women who are in the SME segment who want to become mid-sized companies, who want to have a dream of being one day listed, but they don't know the journey that they need to undertake or the discipline that is required for such a journey. The National Stock Exchange has been kind enough to say, let us work on this project with you, help identify, and my ambition is, and Ashish is here, is to at least have 200 such companies across the country in the next 2 to 3 years, who then the NSE can help, so that they understand the markets better and one day, God willing, list themselves. That's a huge ambition, but in India, if women decide to do something, anything is possible.
Absolutely agree. I think I come from a family where women decide everything, whether it's mom, my sister, my wife, or now my 2 daughters, and absolutely. Ma'am, women constitute 48% of India's population, but they contribute only 18% to the GDP, as per the National Family Health Survey.
They contribute a much more, which doesn't get counted.
Organized. That's why I said as per the survey.
So if you look at one of the challenges with such surveys, and I have vociferously voiced my opinion on this issue, let's say there are today, by count, 9 crore women in the self-help group segment in our country. Their economic contribution to our country at the grassroots is close to $37 billion. Doesn't get counted. So if you start counting these segments, the number that you've spoken of 18%, is actually a number from the small businesses that women own. If you look at the Udyam portal today, 3 crore such businesses are formally owned by women, 1.5 crore such businesses are informally owned by women, and they employ close to 2.5 crore people. And they are the ones who contribute to 18% formally to the GDP. So that number is a bit skewed.
And what is required to bring the informal number formally
Is to start
into
counting.
service?
Is to genuinely start counting every woman's contribution. Because if we say that in the SME segment, 70% of those who are not formal, unorganized are women. If we say 90% of the agrarian labor in our country is informally consisting of women, can you imagine their financial contribution, which does not get counted? And hence, you say that the contribution of women per se to the Indian economy or the GDP is just 18%.
Moving on to a topic which is part of almost every conversation today, AI, right? And the world is changing with AI. How are you preparing, or how should entrepreneurs today prepare for the AI age? And how can AI be used to further entrepreneurship equally between men and
So
women?
one of the greatest challenges with AI is that foundational AI is made by scraping through every crevice of the internet and all the data that was freely publicly available and some that was not. And most of this data does not tell the female story as vividly as it should. There has been a case, I think it was Steve Wozniak maybe, who went to what is now called X and said that he and his wife had the same credit rating. He and his wife had the same kind of books. But the wife's credit limit by the credit card company was lesser than his. And the credit card company, when they were contacted, they said, well, the algorithm threw up that limit for the lady. Which means today, if the algorithm is not informed about the female potential, for instance, the 9 crore women in self-help groups who contribute $37 billion, if they are not counted, that is not an ecosystem that is being scraped through by AI. Another, I had Ms. Suri here on stage from the automotive sector. If you look at AI, which does safety tests, especially in cars, there's a study by the BBC. And that study says that when AI was used for testing physical safety, that AI could never calibrate what happens to female drivers because the physicality of the test was that of a man. It never considered what happened to women who are driving at a particular age group. It never considered what happened to a female form if she is pregnant. And the incidence of such a misfortune was a huge 44%. So anybody who thinks AI is going to be this great leveler on gender possibly has not understood how foundational AI has been built. So if you want gender justice, for the lack of a better phrase, to be embedded into AI systems today, I think effort has to be to inform the algorithm better when we're building LLMs or SLMs for that matter, is to inform the engine better.
Coming back to you on television, right? With QK 2.0, if I could call it that, you've made it a vehicle for spreading social impact messages, and rightly so. How do you think about it, and what do you think would be the end goal with that?
I think it is very rare when art and the practice of societal change can come together. And a fusion of two can even then make profit for the enterprise. We are very lucky that we could bring back a project after a hiatus of 16 years, and it was met with the same amount of love, with the same amount of support. I think what is fascinating for me is the fact that the protagonist is not some 16-year-old, it's a 50, 60, 70-year-old woman. We have dealt with issues like aging. We have dealt with issues like a woman who says, I'm extremely fat. We've dealt with issues like Stridhan and a housewife who says, what is my economic kitty? We've dealt with issues like starting your own enterprise, walking out of a marriage. And the fact that we could do these segments within a story and still manage to have commercial success speaks volumes not only about the creators, but also about the audience that receives it.
Absolutely. And I'm looking at the time, and I'm trying to choose which question to ask you. I have a lot. But, so you spend a lot of time with first-gen entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, from smaller towns and cities as well. What's the one thing that you believe they know better than the people sitting in this room?
I think women in general, irrespective of which city, which block they belong to, tend to know a bit more than men. And I agree with Jyotsna. With no affront to gentlemen. It is just whether they are strategic enough to let the men know that they know. So women pick and choose their battles. Women pick and choose. And I feel that it is unfortunate when a woman chooses less for herself because it's strategically wise for her to choose more for her relationship and her family. I see those stories.
Yeah.
And I think that for me is something that literally breaks my heart. That when a woman has limited resources, she tends to always pick her family and her loved ones more than herself. And if we genuinely want to create or give back to women per se, we have to embed in them this philosophy or this psychology that it's okay to choose yourself.
Yeah.
That it's okay to seek out medical help and not self-medicate just because you feel that your resources on yourself will be wasted.
And just wanted to delve on this point a little bit further, is this mindset or is kind of ingrained by society over generations. So what do you think is required now to bring that change and shift? And how do you bring it soon? Because, to drive change in society it takes long.
Is
but
to
we'd like
teach
to do
women
that
how to
sooner.
own their own homes. We bring up
Independence.
daughters by saying, I'm saving money so that you can study well. Now, there is a social impetus or a social pressure to make sure that the child graduates at least. So, if we start teaching young girls that it's okay to not have the ambition of waiting for the knight in shining armor, but to wait to see which property owns up and which is the first house you have to buy. That is something I think which will start changing a little bit of mindsets. And I say this, Shashwat, because there has been enough research that shows that even if you have a fantastic paycheck, it does not protect you from domestic abuse. We've had incidents and research which shows that in South Mumbai, the incidence of female feticide is higher than in rural Maharashtra, which is mind-boggling because people would presume that those who are educated would not indulge in such a crime. So I think that if you want to bring about a change in the mindset, the first thing is to say, I want to own a house, or I want to earn money. The minute a woman in some way vocalizes that she is pursuing a greater paycheck, that she is pursuing a great monetary ambition, we tend to kind of get uncomfortable with such women. The second, I think, aspect is genuinely, I'm saying this again as a professional female, is to teach women how to negotiate their contracts. Zia is in the first row. I'm sure she has beaten a few people to pulp. And those are the women who need to reach out to many young professional females to say, if you want it, that doesn't mean at the altar of your promotion, you will let go of that pay hike. So when I came back as Tulsi 2.0, I walked in and I asked for a paycheck that was never heard of, even by men. And they said, oh, you want money? Why do you need money? I said, मैं खड्डे में डाल दूंगी, लेकिन दो. Because the idea is I need to walk the talk if I want to tell other women to do so. So learn how to negotiate contracts. Teach your daughters that the first thing they need to do is to own a house and make them ambitious enough to say, it is okay, I will not love a man less if I have more money than him.
Absolutely. And to end, I had two fun questions. TV set or Parliament floor? Which one has tougher critics?
Oh. TV is complete fiction. And Parliament is the greatest representation of people's aspiration. What has given me the greatest joy in my life, Shashwat, is that I have had the privilege of building homes for 1 lakh families in just 5 years. To give somebody a home, to give somebody hope, that is the greatest privilege. To be in a country of 1.4 billion people and be one of the few who gets to serve your country is one of life's greatest privileges. To be in service of the people, that outshines any other responsibility or opportunity you'll ever get.
And Tulsi? And my last question, Tulsi Irani or Smriti Irani, who gives better advice?
I keep telling a few people that I don't know why it is incumbent upon women to always have this question of giving advice. Be it Tulsi or Smriti Irani. I think we all come with different set of capacities. We all deal with different circumstances. If you look at Tulsi, that is a woman with an anger issue because she ends up shooting quite a few people on the show. I have been a bit more disciplined in real life. My face might give away my emotion, especially when I am confronted with, pardon me for saying this stupidity, but I think that you would pick a Smriti Irani any day over a fictional character.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for being so candid, so honest,
Thank you.
so humble, and so unassuming.
Thank you. And Shashwat, may I also extend my gratitude to you. In your introduction to me, of me, you said such splendid things. I've never in my life had a man sit across me and compliment me so much. So thank you.
I think you need to spend more time with me, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.